If you've watched some of my earlier videos for Vlogmas, you will know that I got COVID during Vlogmas, so this is unfortunately one of the videos filmed during that time. I'm kind of on the end stretch now. I think I'm starting to get a little bit better, but I'm still at the point where I just cannot be bothered making myself look presentable. So today's video for Vlogmas is part of a little mini series I'm doing during Vlogmas. I've already put up part 1, so I will link it so you can watch it if you haven't yet, but that is reading the highest and lowest rated books on my TBR. Chestnut roasting. So we've already done the highest rated book, which was an amazing experience, an amazing book. So now we are going to be doing the lowest rated, which I'm going to assume is not going to be an amazing experience and not an amazing book, because it is this random ass book called Someone Like Summer. What the fuck is this, you might ask? I don't know. I don't even know. This is on my Goodreads TBR when I was like 16 or something. I put on a bunch of like YA romances that I wanted to read when I was like 16, because I wasn't a normal teenager who at 16 was like, you know, having sex, going to parties, drinking, probably doing drugs. I was reading books for like 13-year-olds apparently. So I wanted to read this book, and it is the lowest rated book on my TBR. So we're going to read it today. I am expecting absolute shit from this. I'll be disappointed if it's actually good. So I don't even know what this is about. I can't even probably read the blurb because it's an ex-library copy and there's a barcode on it. We'll just see how it goes.
A few moments later.
Okay, sorry, I haven't actually read anything yet, so I shouldn't even be here talking, but I was looking up the author of this because I was a little bit curious, and she has passed away. And I'm on her Wikipedia page, and this is one of her pen names. She has like 5. And she, along with another author whose name I don't know how to pronounce, so I'm just going to put a picture here, is credited with launching the lesbian pulp fiction genre, the only accessible novels on that theme in the 1950s. I don't know how true that is, but that is very interesting. Under the name Vin Packer, she wrote mystery and crime novels including Spring Fire. As Anne Aldrich, she wrote non-fiction books about lesbians, and as M.E. Kerr, she wrote young adult fiction. As Mary James, she wrote books for younger children. In her early life, Mika admits to dating men because it was expected of her. She said of meeting the expectations of her family and friends despite knowing she was a lesbian. I dealt with it by playing the game, dating, going steady with a serviceman I really liked, but not that way, and in general coping as we all had to do by behaving like everyone else. She was involved romantically with author Patricia Highsmith for 2 years. I feel like I've heard of Patricia Highsmith.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Ah! Oh, she wrote The Price of Salt, which I read earlier this year. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I am going on a massive tangent here from this shithouse book, so this is crazy. She wrote about this relationship in the 2003 nonfiction memoir Highsmith, A Romance of the 1950s, and discussed it in her own pulp fiction novels. In interviews about the time of the book's release, she said, "I knew Pat when she was young and not yet so jaded and bigoted. The internet is filled with stories of her meanness and prejudice, and also of her introversion, of her being a loner. I met that Pat many years after we broke up." What is with this drama? This is crazy. Okay, the things that you discover from random YA books, that is madness. I need a drink. This is so bad. Like, I don't even know how to sugarcoat it. It's just so bad. Like, obviously reading the lowest rated book on my TBR is gonna be bad. It's like so bad in so many ways that I'm still shocked. So it is about a teenage girl, and she's fallen for this guy who is a Latino, and he is playing soccer, and she goes and like watches him play soccer. Her father is a terrible human being. He's racist, he's filled with prejudice, he's just terrible. And he hires a lot of Latino people to work for him because he pays them like shit. And so the guy that she has a crush on also ends up working for her dad, and so they're like a thing, but it's like not approved by her dad. So there is no actual like technique put into the writing in this book, which is like the main reason I would say it's terrible. There are other obviously terrible things going on with the dad, but I'll get to that in a second. Just like honestly, the way this is written is so bad. There's no pacing. There's no build up to anything. There's no characterization. There's no effort put in dialogue. It is so stilted. There's so many parts where it's just people talking, and there's no descriptions put into anything, and the way they're talking doesn't describe anything, doesn't show anything about them and the way they're feeling and they're talking, so it's just like stilted dialogue sometimes, and that's like all you get. And like the book starts and they already kind of have a thing and it just jumps straight in. I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. She's just written this. It's like she couldn't give less of a fuck about this book.
Can you blame her?
Oh my god, put a bit of pacing in, put a bit of structure, put in some characterization, give us something to root for Christ's sake. This is so bad. Like everything just happens on the page and each chapter just jumps into something and there's no lead up or building of anything. Everything just happens, and it's not like I'm reading a story. Like I really don't feel like this is a story because it's just telling us everything and everything's just happening, and I'm like, where is the story here? Where is some substance? Where is anything at this point? Like I feel like this is one of the worst written books I've ever read. Now, I'm not saying that this author overall is probably terrible. You know, she probably didn't give a shit about this book, and honestly, good for her because it's terrible. So there's also obviously the plot line with the dad, and like I would say that the author is trying to send a good message with this, and I think overall it will be portrayed in that everyone should be able to love everyone, everyone's equal, everyone is deserving of the same things, you know, people should be paid the same as everybody else, like equal rights, all of those things I think are being portrayed, but it's very tacky in its method. I kind of appreciate what the author was trying to do, and again, I feel like for the most part maybe it'll come across, but it's just, again, it's so tacky because the way the dad talks is just so over the top. And like I get that there are people out there like that, but that doesn't mean you have to fill so many pages with him saying awful things. And it's just too much. At times it's like, it's almost like the author is enjoying writing this, which I'm sure she didn't. But it's just like, do you really have to go into it in that much detail and that over the top? Because I feel like we get the point that the dad is terrible. You don't need to like every second page have him saying something terrible. And it's just cringy and it's just not good. I appreciate what it was doing for its time, but overall tacky and probably not going to be the most effective. There was something really funny about the writing I wanted to talk about. But yeah, the writing is so bad. Like the dialogue is so, like they talk like they're 10-year-olds and they're 17 and drinking, and I just don't understand. Like there was one part, oh, what were they talking about? They were talking about like swans or something and how swans mate for life, and he was like, "You're my swan." And I kid you not, on the same page, and this font is massive. So the same page he said that and then realized that he had fucked up something with the dad because he was like building something and he got the wrong nails and he'd fucked up, and he realized, and he just exploded on her and was like, "I don't want to talk to you anymore." And it's like, I am so confused. Like you literally just said you were gonna mate for life and now you're like, "I don't want to talk to you again." And it's just like, again, in the span of like this, I was so confused. Just so many cringy lines that I can't deal. I should have like tabbed some to read out, but I don't want to be too mean. Yeah, I don't know. And like again, there's no build up, so they'll just be like, he came into the room and then we started kissing, and I'm like, what? Yeah, just things keep getting repeated, like information will be like, and this thing, and it's like, yeah, you've told me like 3 times already. Like I think I've got the point. It's funny, but it's also not, because it's also like quite offensive, so I just can't deal with this book. I think I'm just gonna finish this today because I want this out of my life. Do you like my shirt though? It's Christmas Pikachu. It's Christmas Pikachu. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. And if I'm drunk in the next update, do not be surprised, because that may be what I need to get through this. 1 star. I like never give out 1 stars. It is so rare. Like I usually reserve that for like Colleen Hoover. I appreciate that the author was trying to cover some important topics, but also was it really her story to tell? Was it really her place to tell the story? Probably not. And like, I think if you're going to tackle things like this, at least have the grace to do it in a nuanced, complex way and actually explore the topics and not just like fluff over them. So it actually turns out that the guy in this was an illegal immigrant, so he didn't have any paperwork, he didn't have a visa or anything, and so it just doesn't tackle that properly at all, really. And it's all so focused on the romance, and it's like, that is a serious thing that people are still going through today. Like, that is the thing people go through. Handle it with grace, or just don't touch it. With the research that I did before and some of the blurbs on this book, it says like, you know, she was an author that would cover topics that other people would avoid and stuff. And it's like, yeah, probably because they knew it wasn't their place to tell this story. Just saying. Yeah, there were just a lot of stereotypes. I don't really think anything was resolved with the dad. There was just no story here. Like, honestly, there was no story. It was just words put on paper. And I feel like the only positive that I can give to you right now is that I'm finished. So yeah, I feel like none of you are going to read this book anyway, but just if for some godforsaken reason you wanted to read this random book, don't do it. I feel like I need to now read something really decent to make sure I still like reading. So that is going to conclude this vlog. Let me know in the comments what your lowest rated book on your TBR is. Is it absolute shit like this? Let me know. Or did you not just keep a bunch of books that you put on Goodreads when you were like a teenager? Let me know. But that is going to do it for today's video. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for Vlogmas. But until then, bye.
Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas.